Appreciate gentleman yields back, and I now recognize Mr. Evans from the great state of Colorado.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, to the ranking member, to the witnesses for coming today, and of course to the families and to the parents who are in the audience. My first question will be to Ms. Soros with NCMEC. I was a cop for a little over 10 years, so I've personally worked these cases that originated with tips from NCMEC. I know the great work that you do, and unfortunately I know the truly terrible and traumatic events that you often have to monitor and then refer out for investigation. Digital alterations, revenge porn, online bullying, AI, deepfake, sextortation. And the list goes on. And I think it's critically important to note how horrible and graphic these crimes are. One of the things that I did in law enforcement was peer support. And so that is police officers taking care of other police officers to safeguard and shepherd the mental health of first responders. And some of the highest levels of trauma that we ever see in law enforcement is the crimes against children investigators, because of just the absolutely brutal and graphic nature of these crimes. And NCMEC and the work that you do is at the front lines of being able to identify and refer out for further investigation in this space. And so my first question to you comes from something that you had mentioned in your written testimony, where you're talking about some of the challenges of online digital security with end-to-end encryption, but how end-to-end encryption also makes it more difficult at times to be able to actually identify this. And so my question to you is, can you speak a little bit about how we can protect online privacy with good encryption, but also make sure that entities like NCMEC have the tools that they need to be able to find, interdict, and refer out for investigation on some of these heinous crimes?
Thank you for the question. So I think when we are talking about end-to-end encryption and child safety, it's a balancing act, right? Like so many other things in our legal system. NCMEC has been very public that we support end-to-end encryption for consumer privacy. Obviously, everybody wants their medical, their legal, their financial information to be protected through strong security measures, end-to-end encrypted, et cetera. We've probably all in this room been hacked previously due to a lack of digital security. However, there has to be a balance regarding child safety, and I feel like this has become a little bit of a choice where you have to pick one at the sacrifice of the other, and we simply don't believe that's the case. So when you are considering child safety considerations, again, those are not financial, medical, legal concerns that adults are engaging in. We're talking about children engaging with adults, with offenders on social media. There are platforms there that simply do not need to be default end-to-end encrypted. Children's accounts do not need to be default end-to-end encrypted. We need to make sure there is visibility and transparency if children are going to be online in those environments, so that a company has the ability to detect, right? This is all about detection. If a company cannot see what is going on, how an offender is approaching a child, what kind of imagery they are soliciting or sending that child, we will never get a report at NCMEC, and law enforcement will never get a report to investigate and safeguard a child. So we support balancing, using the technology that's available to us, excuse me, to protect the digital security that end-to-end encryption provides, while also ensuring that child safety is balanced with that.
Thank you, and kind of a follow-up corollary to that. My home state, Colorado, unfortunately has the distinction of having the second highest number of teenage overdose deaths as a result of illegal drugs being sold. And we know a lot of times those transactions occur through online interactions with kids, with juveniles, through social media or their apps. Can you speak a little bit to how the work that NCMEC has been doing in the child sexual exploitation space, can we use that as a corollary to be able to identify and interdict some of these drug transactions that, again, are taking thousands and thousands of lives around the country, and oftentimes the operating principle that some of these perpetrators use is very similar. They use coded language. They're trying to evade detection online. Can you speak to that?
Absolutely, and it's a great question and an issue that we've discussed with several other groups and members of Congress as well previously. I think there is a corollary. Our cyber tip line, which is the receiver of reports relating to child sexual exploitation that we evaluate, handle, and then send to law enforcement, is a good model because it relies on detection by technology companies, by online platforms. Again, based on emojis, like you said, based on coded language, based on direct solicitations. That would be very similar for drugs in many ways as it is for CSAM or exploitation of children. Again, having a reporting mechanism that is centralized, again, for drug transactions, would also facilitate determining a jurisdiction, determining where an offender is, where a victim is, and allowing law enforcement to pursue their investigation.
Thank you. Yield back.